I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 107. We are from Alter Ego Comics, a comic book store in Lima, Ohio, where the governor just gave the state of the state yesterday. So, hoo-ha. I don't even know what that means. And there are so many comics that came out this week. It is ridiculous how many comics came out this week and how many good comics came out this week. I took home a stack of 20 and did not get through them, sadly. So just because I don't talk about something this week doesn't mean I didn't like it. It means I didn't get a chance to read it. So just think about that. I know many of you pick up comics and you read them kind of slowly over a weekend or during the course of a week. I tried to read 20 comics in one night and failed. I also have 3 children. But I do want to kick things off with Justice League of America, number 1 by Geoff Johns and David Finch. And this is the new JLA series from the writer of Justice League, Geoff Johns, and the former artist of The Dark Knight, David Finch. And this is the special ops team, the covert ops team, made up of B and C list characters that don't necessarily have a lot of superpowers. So you've got Catwoman, Green Arrow, Hawkman has some powers. Well, he's just really strong and carries a mace. It's organized by Steve Trevor, and Amanda Waller is kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. And as you read it, you find out that this team is being put together to essentially take on the Justice League if that ever needs to happen. If the superpowered people get too out of control, decide to turn their backs on the government, then you've got the B team, the Justice League of America, to go in and stop things. But this was a great first issue, a great setup issue. You get the recruitment, Trevor going out and recruiting everybody, finding out why they need them on the team. There's looks like the introduction of a new kind of supervillain team, and believe it or not, Vibe is kind of a cool character. So, do you have something you want to say about Justice League of America before we get to Vibe?
No, let's move on to the Vibe.
Let's move on to Justice League of America's Vibe, number 1. Great name for a comic, DC. So Vibe was a member of the Detroit JLA back in the 1980s, and as a kid living in Metro Detroit, I thought it was awesome to have the Justice League in Detroit, even with lame characters like Vibe, and Gypsy, and Steel, and some other people. So there's a lot of skepticism out there about Justice League of America's Vibe. This is written by Geoff Johns and Andrew Kreisberg with art by Pete Woods. And Geoff Johns is, I believe, only on board for the first couple of issues, and then he will leave things in the hands of Mr. Kreisberg. He will leave the Vibe with Mr. Kreisberg. But as skeptical as I was about this, I really actually enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. It's written very well. You can sense Johns' involvement with this, or you can see it. The artwork is solid, and his origin is really cool. It's much cooler than the origin in the old DC universe. What did you think?
No, I really enjoyed it too. I don't know what the origin was in the new DC universe, but I like the way it tied in. I felt like, and in some ways, at least if they pay off what they were setting up, that issue may be required reading in the DC universe. There's definitely things going on that have the potential to affect everything. So
yeah, they're saying, I think it was promoted as, well, on the cover it says the unlikeliest hero, but in the solicitation copy they mentioned that Vibe is going to turn out to be one of the power players in the new DCU. So we'll see. Oh, do you want me to keep going? You want to go? Okay. Next. Nova number 1 by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. Also very skeptical about this issue. Misters Loeb and McGuinness do not have the best track record as of late, unfortunately. Primarily Mr. Loeb. But I gotta tell you, this is the best thing I've read by them in quite a while. I don't know if that's saying anything or not.
Well, it says something because wasn't this pimped like the last 2 years in the Point One issue?
Yeah, this has been promoted for a while. Well, this Nova showed up during Avengers vs. X-Men. We didn't know who it was at the time. Now here we are 2 years later, a year and a half later. Yeah. And it's a very engaging story. It's about a kid whose dad is kind of a drunk and is the school janitor, and he keeps telling them stories about being a member of the Nova Corps, the Black Novas, who were kind of the special ops team of the Nova Corps. And the kid's 13 years old, 12 years old. He doesn't believe his dad. He just thinks he's a drunk. He's always having to clean up after him. And at some point, he realizes that, hey, maybe this is actually true. And it involves a couple of characters from Guardians of the Galaxy, who will be featured prominently over the next year until the movie comes out in 2014. So yeah, I really enjoy this, and this is one that I can give my teenage son, my 13-year-old, to read and not worry about content. And I think he would actually enjoy it because the main character is 12 or 13. What do you think?
No, I really liked it. Again, this is a case of I had very limited expectations. And again, just like Vibe, I feel like the way they told the story, the origin they gave the character, they made it very grounded, very human, and incredibly compelling. So it was a chance of a character that could have been just a cash-in being actually done really well and done, creatively.
Yeah, I would say
quality is good.
It's a must-read and another Marvel Now title that we highly recommend. Staying with number one issues, we'll go with Alpha Big Time #1 by Josh Fialkov and this other person, Nuno Platti is the artiste. But we like Fialkov. He's the writer on iVampire. His independent stuff has been very good. His kind of mystery crime book, Echoes, is definitely really cool. Now, this was another one where I thought, really, do we need a book about the character that was in 3 issues of Spider-Man like 6 months ago? And the answer is kind of, sort of. This is another one. It's a high school student. Alpha's origin is he's visiting Horizon Labs during Peter Parker's science experiment. It's almost like a reverse Spider-Man origin. Right. Peter is experimenting with Parker molecules or Parker particles. Is that what it is? And this kid ends up getting superpowers and is like this supremely powerful guy that's supposed to be taken under Spider-Man's wing and trained. And the kid does what any teenager would do when he becomes invincible, so to speak, and he makes himself a celebrity, and he dates a bunch of women, and he goes out and squanders his power. So Peter Parker Spider-Man takes his powers away. Now, when this was solicited, nobody knew that Spider-Man was not going to be Peter Parker when this came out. So the Spider-Man in this book is Dr. Octopus. So when you have Dr. Octopus pulling the strings and deciding to give Alpha his powers back to some degree, interesting, fun things happen. So that's the key with this one. If it was, just a buddy book of Peter Parker Spider-Man and Alpha, but it's really this, there's something evil going on behind the scenes. We don't know what Dr. Octopus is up to, why he's giving him his powers back incrementally, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. The Doc Ock is the thing that makes it really, really compelling. On the same page, perhaps, we have Legends of the Dark Knight #5. This is the sort of Batman anthology series where every month it's a different thing, or sometimes many different things. And the reason we segued from that to this is it's also written by Joshua Hale Fialkov, and we've got art by Phil Hester. And I really liked this issue. As opposed to some of the previous ones which were anthologized, this one is one story throughout the entire issue, and it's the story of a former Gotham cop, a good cop in a dirty town, who's been pushed out and is now operating as a private detective, and how his path kind of crosses with some Batman villains and Batman heroes. And it reminded me in a lot of ways because of the cop drama and because of the kind of street-level view of Gotham City, of Gotham Central. And I'm always ready to be reminded of Gotham Central. So Legends of the Dark Knight, done in one. Great read this week.
Go ahead.
I will continue in the Bat Family. Death of the Family ended last week. And there are a lot of books coming out of it that are sort of the fallout, whether they're branded that way or not. The first one was last week's Batman and Robin, which I felt was really great, kind of psychological drama of the effect of what the Joker's torture had on people. This week we've got Red Hood and the Outlaws 17 and Nightwing 17. And they are both supremely cool. I especially like the Red Hood and the Outlaws because it's Jason back at Wayne Manor, back in Gotham, even only briefly after the events of Death in the Family. And you get to see him interact with Damian and Alfred, and it's just kind of a love letter to the Bat family. And you see the pain and the suspicion and all of the things we saw at the end of Death of the Family, but you also see the kind of hope and how Todd kind of doesn't, as much as what happened at Wayne Manor and with the Joker made him into the villain that he was briefly, or maybe the villain he is now, depending on how you want to look at it, he really had good memories of it too, and I thought it was really great character building stuff. Did you want Nightwing?
Sure. Oh, cool. I'm just going to stand here and read comics.
Oh, you want me to do Nightwing? I'll keep talking about Nightwing.
I didn't have time to read Nightwing.
Oh. Failure. Nightwing was also really cool. And this was the one that I actually didn't expect to be very Death of the Family related because there was no banner on the cover or anything. And also they mentioned in the that crazy New 52 channel thing they've got going on in the last 2 pages of all the DC books about Nightwing going to Chicago, which is kind of what I expected to find in the issue when I got to it, and that was not the way it was. It's pure Death in the Family fallout. So if you enjoyed Nightwing's story during Death in the Family, or just the whole Death in the Family arc, this is absolutely a book you should check out. It's him dealing with basically I'll say him again. Dick has essentially failed horribly. He tried to save Haley's Circus, to bring it back, to resurrect it, and the Joker made that not happen at all, and killed people and made it bad, and basically destroyed everything Dick believes in. And Dick's always been this kind of happy-go-lucky. He's always the bright, happy member of the Bat family, and this is what is Dick Grayson like when you essentially destroy his entire world. And as a Dick Grayson fan, it was awesome.
Next up for me is Green Lantern number 17. This is written by Jeff Johns, artwork by Doug Monkey, and 17 inkers. There are a lot of inkers on this book, but it does look really pretty. This is the beginning of the Wrath of the First Lantern storyline, which will end all of the Green Lantern writers and artists' times on the Green Lantern books, on the Green Lantern family books. After this story arc, Jeff Johns is leaving Green Lantern after almost, I think it's 10 years, writing Green Lantern. And the other writers, Tony Bedard is leaving, Peter Tomasi's leaving. Is Milligan doing Red Lanterns? I don't remember who's doing Red Lanterns. But the whole Green Lantern family is being shaken up from a creative standpoint at the end of the storyline, and who knows why. So we should read it and find out. So we get an abbreviated, kind of an introduction to the First Lantern, who has been featured in the Rise of the Third Army storyline. This guy's name is Volthoom, which is a very funny name. And he comes in peace. That's what he says in the beginning. So we see his kind of introduction to the Guardians, and we don't know how or why he became the First Lantern, but as we go through the book, the First Lantern has been kind of kept imprisoned by the Guardians, and now he's free, and he's wreaking havoc amongst the Guardians and the Green Lanterns, and it's just such a good book. Johns has been doing an amazing job with Green Lantern, and all of the Green Lantern family books have been really strong too. So if you've been reading Rise of the Third Army, you want to continue with this and pick up Wrath of the First Lantern. This is going to be Jeff Johns' swan song on Green Lantern, so you don't want to miss it.
And a treat that DC has offered us this week is all three of the first issues of the Rise of the First Lantern, or Wrath of the First Lantern, Wrath of Khan. The Wrath of the First Lantern storyline. You've got the first part in Green Lantern, then it's followed up in Green Lantern Corps, and continues into Green Lantern New Guardians, all of which on the shelf. And they were all really good. I especially enjoyed the way in Corps and New Guardians they didn't bother telling us crap we already knew. Mm-hmm. You know, there wasn't like a segue at the beginning saying, oh, the first Lanterns and this happened in Green Lantern. No, they just cut right to the action. They didn't even bother telling us about things we didn't necessarily know about but could assume happened. And so they jump right into deep character stuff. Each of them kind of focuses on the central character of the book. The Green Lantern Corps story is about Guy Gardner. If you liked the Zero issue where we found out Gardner's origin in the New 52, this is an especially compelling companion to that because we see essentially the First Lantern is torturing people by showing them what might have been, alternate realities, if they'd made a mistake here or done something different, and how the things that have went well could have gone badly or vice versa. And it's just really great. I mean, these are characters that we've known forever, that we care about, and so seeing them be tortured by their choices or their failures is fun.
And Josh has a different definition of fun than I do.
It is what it is.
But I enjoyed them. Yeah. What do you got left? One? Okay, well, I'll jump in with two that really need no discussion or anything, but we'll tell you anyway. The new issue of Daredevil is out, Daredevil 23 by Mark Waid and Chris Samnee, and it's awesome. Just as the entire series has been from issue 1. If you're not reading it, you're dumb. And then also we've got Saga number 10 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. We talk about it every month it comes out. It is one of the best comics being published today, arguably the best independent creator-owned book on the stands today. And this was a lot of fun. You get to see all of our characters, the core cast of characters are back together now, and it makes for an extremely fun read, a great issue, and it's just so awesome.
And an ending that may make me sad.
Yeah.
Depending on how it pans out. And one little addendum. This week we have My Little Pony, the first issue of the Micro series. I'm not exactly a fan of the My Little Pony universe. The comics have been...
He is a fan. He is a brony.
Yes, king of the bronies. But this one I've picked up specifically because of the creative team on it. The Micro series, each issue is going to have its own book. This one is all Tom Zoller. Friend of the store, creator, artist, writer of Love and Capes, is the man behind the wheel on this issue, and it's a lot of fun. One of the other reasons I enjoyed it is because it follows...
Ponies.
Yes, ponies. Twilight Sparkle, I believe her name is, one of the main characters.
Josh's favorite pony.
She gets sent off to be an assistant to the archivist, which is, the My Little Pony librarian, essentially. She's Giles from Buffy, but with a horn on her head and a broken hoof in this case, which sets up all kinds of great literary puns, basically taking titles of classic works of literature and adding horses in. And it was just, it made me giggle repeatedly. If you like Love and Capes and Zoller's sense of humor, you'll love this issue.
So that's it. That's our fly by the seat of our pants edition of Alter Ego Comics TV. And really, there are so many books that came out this week. It's crazy. So don't lose your mind. Pace yourselves.
Don't be a hero.
Yes, don't be a hero. Most of them will probably be here next week if you need to make a trip 2 weeks in a row to pick up things you may skip over.
Stretch first.
Yeah, really, you should try and grab as much as you can. Also want to mention we do have the Ohio variant of Justice League of America #1 while supplies last. So the regular version has a U.S. flag on it. We also have the variant for the great state of Ohio. That is it for this week. Let us know what you think. Comments below. Share this with your friends and family and everyone in the earth, on the earth, in the earth, Middle Earth, I don't know.
Mole Man, whoever you meet.
We'll see you next week.